Good morning. It is Monday, December 21st. I'm Jason Stanton. I serve at First Lutheran Onalaska as senior pastor, and this is my morning musing for today. The winter solstice was this morning at 4:02. I had to look that up. I didn't just know that. I didn't use my whatever that word is to figure that out myself. It's the moment, technically, the winter solstice is the moment that the North Pole is tilted furthest from the sun. Which, you know, in the grand scheme, to think about the Earth's axis just kind of like on a pendulum, kind of as it orbits, just kind of being as distant to, and now will, you know, it'll get closer to. It boggles my mind to think of the Earth in this giant annual orbit, where the North Pole is now at its furthest point, and now we make our way back to June, when it gets to its closest point. And won't those be glorious days when it's warmer? Not that it's been that bad, but... And then the same night as this winter solstice in 2020, of course this would happen in 2020, is the greatest conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn appearing in the night sky in 800 years. I find it to be ironic that on the longest night, we'd also have the brightest conjunction, and for that to happen in the weirdest year. And isn't that just the way? I mean, we who believe that we are saints and sinners at the same time, that in and of itself is hard to digest. We want to put people in the camp of a good person or a bad person, and yet we know better than that. We know each and every person is far more complicated than simply good or bad. We live in a now but not yet understanding of how God reigns. You know, resurrected, Jesus is Lord now, but not fully. So there's a now but not yet. We live in a both and life eternal that has begun and is beginning. And so it's appropriate that we should have a day that is the longest night with the brightest conjunction. I love the dark. I really do. And so when this is the longest night, I think about what the dark means for me. I learn to see better in the dark. I have to sharpen my focus. I'm less distracted when it's dark. I look more directly and focused on one step at a time. Night hikes are my favorite kind of hikes, maybe with a little moonlight to help me see. There's a book I read a few years ago, maybe I've mentioned it before, Learning to Walk in the Dark by Barbara Brown Taylor. And I read it in preparation for sabbatical a few years ago. And I just wanted to read just a paragraph here. Darkness is shorthand for anything that scares me. So she's speaking to the metaphorical use of darkness, not just the literal darkness. Darkness is shorthand for anything that scares me, either because I'm sure that I do not have the resources to survive it, or because I do not want to find out. If I had my way, I would eliminate everything, from chronic back pain to the fear of the devil from my life and the lives of those I love. At least I think I would. The problem is this: when, despite all my best efforts, the lights have gone off in my life, plunging me into the kind of darkness that turns my knees to water, I have not died. The monsters have not dragged me out of bed and taken me back to their lair. Instead, I've learned things in the dark that I could never have learned in the light. Things that have saved my life over and over again. So that there really is only one logical conclusion: I need darkness as much as I need light. I do too. I think 2020, for many, it's been characterized by many as kind of a year of darkness. All the natural disasters and all the things that didn't happen that we wished were and had planned to have happen. All the divisiveness. I think many of us have in some parts of our hearts or brains kind of shaded 2020 with a darkness. And yet, it is in the midst of this darkness that we've learned quite a bit about ourselves, about each other, about our nation. Maybe it's renewed us in ways that are important as we move forward. And so although at New Year's 20, as we were entering into 2020 a year ago, I'm not sure any of us would have signed up for, oh yeah, bring on the pandemic and racial strife and tribalism in our politics like that. It's not that we would have chosen to sign up for it, but having endured it, or enduring it, it's not over, but experiencing what this year has been, I think we can echo much of what Barbara Brown Taylor says, saying, I need darkness as much as I need light. Keep faith alive.